What is going on, everybody? It is episode 595 of Pop Culture Crisis. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are indeed back after going out for milk and cigarettes on Friday.
I was always coming back, okay? I don't think anybody had any doubt that I was going to come back.
No, yeah, we're back. And actually, this week, or today, actually, it's the first day that we're all alone. We're all alone.
I was going to start the episode with singing all by myself, but
alone.
I wouldn't want to put other people through me singing. It's not a good look. It's a very, very bad look.
I mean, I would like to see it.
It's not a good
it's not also, a good thing. We have a $20 super chat from Shane H. Wilder saying, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. Mary, great job on Megyn Kelly. Brett, sorry about doing you dirty this morning, buddy. To everyone who saw the Timcast playing cards, thank you. I did not expect Cher to be everyone's favorite."
Of course Cher is everybody's favorite. Everybody loves... Look at Cher. Look how dignified Cher looks right now.
Especially today for some reason.
Yes, well, the microphone is literally in, like, the perfect place. Yeah. As if, like, the middle of the chair is, like...
He has something to say.
Yes, he does. We got another $20 super chat here from Pat the Plumber. Says, Big Taco is trying to take down Sheetz. We got to mobilize, Brett. Well...
Mobilize.
We will get to it.
Let's go.
We will get to it. We're going to talk about that today for sure. I want to say thank you to Kellen. I don't know if he's going to end up ever seeing this, but I did thank him on Friday after the episode. I want to thank him for taking care of the show in our absence. I sent a super chat. I said, "Don't you dare break my damn podcast."
Yes, and he did actually. He broke everything in the studio.
I got in today,
picking up the pieces all morning.
The chair just doesn't.
Something's just wrong.
Yeah, the microphones are in the wrong. No, he did a great job, and they had a lot of fun on Friday. The episode did well, and I want to thank everybody who came out to watch it and stuck by, watched the episode, even though it was something different from what we normally put out. So thank you guys to him, to Shane, and to our guest. Thank you guys. It was a lot of fun. We got a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we do that, would you please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this podcast if you have not subscribed here yet already. Share these videos with your friends. The more people that come in here to watch, the more people that this podcast ends up reaching. I was looking through some of the analytics this morning. I really would love to be able to get those, get us onto the recommended page more. And to do that, we need you guys to share these live streams and these videos out with everybody so they can go and see it.
Chill.
Exactly. And remember that all super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read them right then and there, and then we will do our best to get back on topic. In fact, Mary, I'm going to let you take over. I want to double check and make sure that the volume is up. I believe it is, but I'm double checking.
Okay, we're checking that Kellen didn't break yet another thing.
It was good. I fixed it this morning.
Before you try to derail me, I wanted to put up a poll for the audience.
Yes.
Before you try to distract me, I wanted to ask you guys about a potential movie review coming later this week. I want to do it. Brett is resistant to the idea. It's the new Zendaya movie, Challengers, where she's playing this tennis player. I don't know if we reacted to the trailer on here, though.
I think we ended up talking about the specific scene of her with the two boys.
Yeah. It's basically a weird interracial fetishist porn movie, but it's not actually porn. It's just, it has some weird lines in it, at least, that they decided to put in the trailer. And I really want to hate watch it. Brett does not want to hate watch it. He's not a hate watcher.
Luckily, I have something scheduled for that evening, but...
A nail appointment, right?
Yes, exactly. I have to, I have the transition. I have to go get my...
You have to get your toenails painted?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. And look, I had no interest in seeing this movie at all, but, we'll leave the poll up to you guys.
I really wouldn't watch it otherwise if we weren't reviewing it.
Kino Corners in the chat says, I can't wait to see Challengers.
Okay. Well, we actually need to have you back soon, because we loved reviewing The Little Mermaid with you.
It feels like 2 lifetimes ago.
It does.
How long? That's got to be like just under a year now, right? It would have been
really?
May.
No, it's been more, right?
Would have been April or May?
I feel like it was earlier than that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, we need to have you back.
Well, we will
Review something together.
we will leave the poll open for you guys to leave their opinions on this, and we'll talk about it. We'll see what's going on. So what are we going to talk about today? So if you didn't know, over the weekend Taylor Swift released her newest album. As I'm sure if you have any women in your life, you probably know at least one woman who listened to this over the weekend, right?
Yeah, I assume.
Yeah. Yes. Tortured Poets Department.
The tortured poet with a 10-figure bank account.
Yes, we're gonna talk. So Mary went on was it one tweet or did you have several tweets talking about this over the weekend?
Oh, I lost track. It was definitely several. I didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't finish it. I listened to maybe 10, 15 songs in the background of what I was doing. And they all just kind of ran together, so I gave up.
So we're going to talk about that because you saw some negative reviews, people talking about it. So we're going to discuss it. We're also going to talk about this absolutely bonkers story that I found on Friday, right after the podcast was ended on Friday. The story about Giancarlo Esposito came out where he talks about at one point in his life, he was so broke, he was struggling so much that he considered hiring a hitman on himself.
Kind of dark.
Very dark. So we're going to discuss that. Also, Mark Zuckerberg had a glow up, well, a fake glow up, and the internet went wild.
An AI glow up.
It kind of is. And it is. Like, these are the kind of stories that I find the most fun, right? Like, it's got nothing to do with anything, but it captures the public interest.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm into this new Zuck era.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that. Like, if you see this photo, guys, he basically looks like he's about to tell you that Meta's bussin'. That's what it is.
Yeah.
No cap. So if you're ready, Mary, then we can just go ahead and get started. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's go ahead and get back into things now that we are starting. First things first, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of comic books, comic book movies, any of that stuff, you will know that today the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine came out. Ryan Reynolds posted it on both his Instagram, he probably did post it on his Instagram, but I don't follow him there, on his Twitter. It's also on his YouTube and a whole bunch of other YouTube channels. My thoughts were that it was in line with what I expected it to be. I still think, and I stand by my position, that it's not going to save the MCU. I don't think anything can save the MCU. I think if it does well, all that is indicative of is the fact that exactly what sells now is exactly what Disney doesn't normally make. And I don't see a point to do it because I felt that Logan ended the Wolverine story on a fantastic place, and there was no need to include him in here. It is cool to see Hugh Jackman actually wear the comic book accurate Wolverine costume, but it's not enough to make me really, really excited about this movie. You said it was basically just Reddit humor, right? And it is.
I'm so tired of the Marvel Reddit humor. It really was the most Reddit trailer I've seen. Actually, since what was the other one with Cate Blanchett and Jack Black and all these people?
Borderlands.
Yeah, that was very Reddit. This trailer I felt was very Reddit. They're obviously leaning into it being R-rated and really edgy, but it's not edgy at all. Yeah, it's very ironic.
I liked Deadpool as an R-rated franchise because it's accurate to the character. But when they were doing it at 20th Century Fox, it at least felt mildly subversive. Now it's like, you've gotten the big old corporate stamp of approval from Disney to go ahead and do this.
It's just corporate F word.
Yes. Yeah.
Corporate F-bombs.
I will say something that...
Corporate approved F-bombs.
I will say something that I found very interesting statistically, which is that Ryan Reynolds has about 4.4 million subscribers on YouTube, and the Marvel official, the Marvel Entertainment page has 20.4 million subscribers. The Ryan Reynolds version trailer, he posted it as well, has 6.5 million views.
Theirs has like
only
2.3
on the Marvel one. So if people have faith in this project for anything, it's because of Ryan Reynolds. Has absolutely nothing to do with Marvel.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, who I've made it known I have a distaste for him. I'm a minority in that. That's a hot take.
I see some people pointing out that the multiverse, the Logan Wolverine is still dead. Yes, I just don't think they needed to go on with Hugh Jackman as the character. I understand the idea of variants, multiple worlds.
Wait, is it a different world?
It's I
thought it was just a different point in time.
There's going to be different variants. There's going to be different Wolverine variants in this and variants of other characters. I don't really care. I would have loved them to retire Hugh Jackman as Wolverine until possibly cast a new one 5-10 years down the line. I don't even think they need to do that. But I still think of Wolverine in the context of like X-Men 1 and 2, and I have a lot of nostalgia for that very much politically neutral version of superhero telling back then, right? We just don't live in an age now where I get to take that from any of these films. Even looking at Wolverine now, I see it as a last gasp to save your dying MCU. Whereas back then, it was just great writing. And you go back and you watch those movies. I see somebody in there says X2 is awesome. And what's shocking is like a superhero movie that was just okay 20 years ago is a movie that you would look at now and be like, wow. Because compared to the stuff that's coming out now, you're like, wow, not every third line is a joke. They actually take the character seriously. Now, Deadpool's not supposed to be that. I'm not saying that that's what Deadpool is supposed to be. Humor is obviously an inherent part of that character and those franchises and that storytelling. But Marvel movies proper don't always need to be that, but they usually are.
And do they have to like break the fourth wall with talking about Kevin Feige?
No, that is inherent to Deadpool. Breaking the fourth wall is a huge part of that character.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, I thought it was exactly what you thought in line for it to be. We'll have to wait and see, but it didn't get me unbelievably excited for the movie, but I never expected to be. And more than anything, even if this movie turns out to be an A, and I love it, it's not going to save Marvel. It's not going to save the MCU and bolster the box office numbers for the films after that, just like Spider-Man No Way Home did not save the MCU from flop after flop following its release.
There are a lot of people still who are so deluded they think the MCU doesn't need to be saved.
I know.
They think it's doing just fine.
I mean, yeah, we'll tell that to the rates of inflation and the shrinking
the people
box
at
office
CinemaCon
numbers.
Who were like clapping like seals for Kevin Feige announcing this.
Yeah.
They don't think the MCU needs to be saved.
I said the part where Kevin Feige uses the F word in the announcement, and then they made like actual shill headlines about him using the F word. I actually almost died of secondhand.
It's effing awesome, guys. It's effing awesome.
I went like this and almost curled into a ball of cringe.
I can't
when that happened. So I am not gonna play it because we're gonna get double copyrighted for both the trailer and the song.
No thanks.
But I do encourage you to go ahead and check it out and make up your mind for yourself. If you feel differently than I do about the MCU, if you're more on board with the way things are going, or if just you're a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool as a character, or a huge fan of Hugh Jackman and don't really care that it's kind of continuing the Logan story, albeit differently, afterwards, if that doesn't bother you, I just felt like a great ending was achieved with Logan, and that I would have loved to have seen them pick up with another character, with another actor in the character 5-10 years down the line. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on then, shall we? Again, check that out. More comic book news. So Venom: The Last Dance, which was originally supposed to come out around election time, has been moved because they don't want the election to play to overshadow the movie.
Yeah, they moved it up to like a couple weeks before the election, as if anyone. I mean, do you think people would go to see Venom instead of voting?
I mean,
was that a possibility?
Like, what time do the polls close? Like, I'm picturing like, first of all, this would only hurt Democrats. Let's be real.
Do you think businesses should be closed on election day?
I mean, I think that your work should, isn't it like, aren't you legally supposed to aren't they legally required to give you time to go vote?
I don't know, actually. I don't know, but
somebody in the chat, let me know. Are businesses, I feel like I read this somewhere. Now I feel like I'm not.
I wasn't given a day off from school to vote when I was 18. I just took the day off anyway.
That was a big thing. That was a big thing here. Tim told everyone, he goes, make time to go and vote in the last midterms and in election. So
don't go see Venom instead of voting.
Yep.
That was part of a whole piece that was about election year movies and how movies like A24's Civil War are playing into the divisive political polarization that's going on right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so does Civil War count as an election year movie?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, they certainly planned for it to be in an election year on purpose.
It's political. It was set on the anniversary of the Civil War.
Yeah. Also, I love how this journalist doesn't even know how to spell secessionist. They put successionist.
Well, and again, Tom Hardy is. I liked Venom 1. Venom 2, I thought Naomi Harris was miscast, and I thought it was kind of a misuse of Woody. But other than that, it was fine, but not all that memorable. But for the most part, I don't think Sony has a whole lot going on with their. I have a story.
I forgot that was Sony.
It was Sony. So last night when I was flying home, plane hit just severe turbulence several times. And plane's shaking and everything, and I kind of like I get the seat, like, you know, like you get the crack in the seat between the two seats in front of you.
Yeah.
And the guy in front of me, who's got two seats to himself, is on his phone and he's watching Morbius. And I'm like, bro,
on his phone.
I'm like, bro, you're on a plane that could go down at any minute, and you risk Morbius being the last thing you watch as you leave this earth.
Your last moments. Your last moments on Earth.
I was like,
morbing it up.
I couldn't handle it. I was like, I just wanted to be like, bro, Madam Web is a thing. You should at least watch Madam Web before you go down.
Yeah, that's
right?
dark. But look, I like turbulence. I kind of do.
It doesn't like, you know why? So I've got a couple of feelings about this. One is like, okay, you're narcissistic if you think you're going to be one of the few that dies in a plane crash.
Yeah.
Like it's the height of main character syndrome. Mm-hmm. It's not likely to happen to you. And even if it does, you won't have time to live for the gloating of being like, ooh, I was one of the ones who was in a plane. Yeah. Unless you're one of the even fewer that survives a plane crash. There's nothing funnier when they're like telling you about how the oxygen mask works and your seat can be used as a flotation device. I'm like, bro.
And I'm just like doom scrolling while they tell me these things.
I mentioned this. I said last night before we flew home, I watched the pilot to CSI Miami, which is literally about a plane that goes down in the Everglades and investigating the the deaths of everybody on board.
I'm kind of surprised that they would put that on the menu.
No, I watch at home before. Like,
okay.
No, that would be hilarious if they had like a doom scroll menu.
They just only have like 9/11 documentaries. On the menu.
Yes. Yeah. So
I love watching movies on planes.
I listen to podcasts. That's like one of the So I don't listen to a lot of like actual talk podcasts these days, but I catch up on a lot, or like watch, or I listen to like podcasts that like review old shows. Mm-hmm. So I was listening to some old reviews of Fringe from like 2008 last night. Oddly enough, the pilot episode of Fringe about a plane crash.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe
there were a lot of synchronicities.
Yeah,
happening.
like I couldn't even plan it any better. I was like, this plane's not going to go down because I've actually tempted fate too much.
Yeah.
Like if I just tempted it once, maybe, but multiple times, you're fine.
Guys, let's just pray that Brett doesn't die next time he's on a plane.
See, the irony, I guess, would it be ironic? So the weird thing would have been then, like, I land in the plane, but then, like, get hit by a car going, home.
Oh, that would be really tragic.
Yeah. I have a morbid sense of humor.
Why are you thinking about dying so much?
I'm not.
What's going on, buddy?
So, Venom 2 will be out October 25th. Be sure to... I don't know is there a trailer out? I don't think we watched a full trailer of it.
No, I don't think so.
So that should be coming out soon. They're waiting long on that, which is kind of good to me. Like I don't like it when they release like 9 trailers for a movie before they come out.
I don't like the teaser trailer coming out first, and then they do the real trailer, and there's a teaser trailer before the trailer.
Yeah.
Because they're just that worried about your attention span.
Yeah. All right. Good news if you were a fan of the Sonic films. The Knuckles television show has debuted with 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, which seems perfectly respectable, I suppose. I believe that
the critic score?
As a critic score. So what I believe is that because Sonic has such a dedicated fan base, you will likely see a higher audience score than critic score.
I wonder what Chris Chan is going to think of the Knuckles show.
Why?
Do you know about like Chris Chan lore?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, maybe I should wait until after the show to explain it to you.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of my job right now. I was like, what the hell? Oh.
Yes,
okay.
that.
All right. So I still don't know if we're going to be reviewing Velma Season 2. I do know I will be watching Knuckles.
Let's compromise. Let's compromise.
I was voted to not have to watch Velma.
If we review Knuckles, will you review Challengers?
Or did it? How about we review Velma Season 2, but I don't have to review Challengers?
No, because that would be painful. That's too long. Watching it over and over again. At least a movie is just a one-time commitment. You don't have to go back and keep hurting yourself over and over.
Kino Corner says he's reviewing every episode of Velma.
Oh,
yep.
Great.
Yep. we'll have to wait and see. Look, we're gonna wait and see what the poll, how the poll. It's like dead.
Kino Corner's taking one for the team.
It's dead. It's pretty dead even here on the poll. It says no. 52% are saying no, don't review it. So we'll have to wait till the episode is over, and we'll see what happens. Whatever. How about this? Whatever the rules are, I will abide.
All right.
Whatever the results are, I will abide.
All right.
Guys, if you love me, vote no.
Vote yes.
Or if you just don't hate me, they hate me. It's fine. All right. So be sure to look. It comes out April 26th. So I believe that's Friday, right? Wednesday is the 24th.
Yeah, but it's usually midnight the night before.
All right. All right, guys. Elizabeth Warren wants you to know that green speech bubbles on your iPhone are ruining relationships. Now, is it jealousy that's causing this? What do you think?
It's a class struggle.
It is.
Obviously.
So I saw an article just last week that said that green iPhone, green text bubbles on iPhones is racist.
Right, because minorities disproportionately own Android phones.
Not pointing out that if you buy like a Galaxy S24, you're paying or a Z Fold, like a foldable phone, you're paying an insane amount of money.
Maybe this is just me, but is anyone buying iPhones straight from the Apple Store these days? Because I literally just buy them used.
That's
everyone does that.
My last 3 phones I've just bought.
Yeah.
I buy and then put my SIM card in.
You just get the refurbished one. So it's not even like that, but
it's funny because
this is Elizabeth Warren's new crusade.
If I wanted to go back to iPhone, now would be the time, because one of the reasons that I preferred Android more than everything is having expandable storage, being able to put a micro SD card in there, and they're pretty much doing away with that in the newer models because they want to go to cloud-based storage for everything,
right?
Which I'm just not a huge fan of. But yeah, it says green text on iPhones. They're ruining relationships. That's right. Non-iPhone users everywhere are being excluded from group texts, from sports team chats to birthday chats to vacation planning chats. They're getting cut out and missing out on plans and conversation. And who's to blame here? She said, Apple.
I'm pretty sure there was a community note that disproved that. You can still add an Android user to a group chat.
It just turns all the text green.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're excluded from the group chat.
This was also happening on apparently even if your plane has dicey Wi-Fi, you can get certain types of messaging, and one of them is iMessage will automatically work on a plane.
Right.
And I'm just well, you know what? I don't want to text anyone anyway. So F off. If you ever think of that, maybe I don't want to text.
If you turn on airplane mode when you're on the plane, you're a sheep. I'm just gonna say that now. Also, with everything going on in the country, why is this the issue that you decided to bring up?
It's also
Elizabeth?
not a monopoly. They're not a monopoly. Android makes up the majority of the phone users.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
And then Biden's thing is talking about shrinkflation and how they're putting less potato chips in the potato chip bags. Yeah.
Oh, so I just saw this the other days. I like those ones Santino's chips.
Okay.
I like them because they're $2.69.
Never seen it.
As opposed, they're for dipping.
Okay.
And a guy went through all the bags and just turned them upside down so that the clear part is just empty.
Yeah.
Because the clear part is towards the bottom of the bag. So if you just turn the bag upside
down, they're selling you
air.
Salty air.
But there's chemicals in there that keeps it fresh, which is why that's their excuse as to why they can't fill the bags up all the way.
The same chemicals that are turning the frogs gay, I'm sure.
Though I will say I do have a specific type of candy that I eat. Airhead candy. It's
Ew.
Not Airheads, but they're I can't explain. They're good though. But the point is you get the bag, and I'll go through and check to make sure it's one of the ones that's actually mostly. I was I'm not paying a bunch of money for one that's got nothing in it.
I didn't think there would be variation.
Yes, though, there absolutely is.
Okay.
Absolutely is. Yep. All right. So monopoly on smartphones, and there is no monopoly. This is just propaganda.
Another thing that's being unfairly targeted right now.
Yes, absolutely unfairly.
Yeah, the Biden administration is suing Sheetz for hiring discrimination because they do criminal background checks on everyone that they hire. So this means that they are being essentially forced by the government to hire felons?
Yup. Let's listen to this clip here.
Sheetz is being sued over its hiring practices. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission filed the suit this morning. It claims that the way Sheetz bases employment on criminal records disproportionately screens out Black, Native American, and other multiracial applicants, and that this violates federal law. The suit does not accuse Sheetz of being motivated by race when making hiring decisions. We have reached out to Sheetz for comment, but so far we have not heard back.
I picture like a sheet answering.
I also saw Elon tweet, and this is after they've had such a struggle with a bad brand name.
It's a great brand name. With they're single-handedly bringing Z's at the end of names back from the 90s.
Yeah, I'm a Sheetz freak.
Yeah, like they're gonna make it harder for me to get my Sheetz tacos and then blame it on racism.
I'm pretty sure it was actually the last name of the guy who started it.
Probably.
So yeah, but I just maybe they shouldn't like commit more crimes though.
The Sheetz by us, by our office, by our studio, is very, very diverse. And they're fantastic employees who do a great job, and they should not have to be sullied with employees who aren't good for the sake of the Biden administration.
Yeah, they're getting unfairly targeted and harassed right now. It's not okay.
It's not okay.
As a Sheetz stan, I'm offended by this.
So we went like on Friday it would have been Thursday last week, and it was like the longest line I'd ever. Like I regretted it as soon as I put the order in and saw how many were like in front of us. Like you could have left and come back. It took forever.
You know what's messed up? On Saturday, I think it was National Cold Brew Day. So it showed me on the app for Sheetz, like you can get a free cold brew. So I ordered it, and it after tax was literally just $1.05, which is less than $1 a discount off of the normal price.
Yeah.
So I got scammed. Whatever. I still stand.
People are making fun of me for saying the word diverse. It's the actual word for it. Okay, it's there was a really funny story where these two, like the dude who was working was like sitting there talking with this dude about motorcycles, and they were going on and on about motorcycles back and forth. And I was like, why isn't he helping anybody? And I realized that most people don't want to go through like the line where you actually get rung up by a person anyways, unless you have to buy something that requires an ID.
Yeah.
Like most people just go through the self-checkout line anyways.
Well, old people hate self-checkout.
I know.
So a lot of the times they don't even care. Like they'll wait anyway. And they love, here's another thing I saw recently. Old people love using voice to text.
My brother uses voice to text.
But wait, but like I'm talking like senior citizens, like
okay,
like I don't know why they I heard they like to feel like they're Captain Picard.
Yeah. Why
do they love Siri so much?
My dad got his first smartphone like this last year.
Does he love talking to it?
He I have never seen him do that, but you know, like I'm trying to like now I get to send him emojis that actually make sense, whereas like if I would have sent an emoji before on his flip phone, it would just
say smiling face.
Yeah, or it would do like the whatever the brackets symbols are that actually make it up. But yeah, it's funny. All right, guys. So,
wholesome story.
This is a very wholesome story. So, if you don't know who Mariska Hargitay, that's how it's literally. I'm never going to pronounce
Hargitay.
it. I will never say that. No, I'm saying it on purpose because I refuse to admit that I've been saying it wrong for like 20 years.
It's a difficult name.
The star of Law and Order SVU since the year 1999, I might add.
Crazy.
That's crazy. She was mistaken for a real life cop by a lost child and helped that child find her mother.
Yes, according to witnesses at the Fort Tryon Park, the little girl became separated from her mother and ran up to Hargitay, who had a police badge on her belt while they were filming, and they stayed with the girl and brought her back to her mom.
So this is her.
That's sweet.
I was like, because it actually like whoever took this photograph, good for them. It looks like it could be a still from an episode.
Right. They should have just offered her a guest role.
Well, then she'd get her SAG card if she had speaking roles. Can't do that.
They said there's such a thing as WWOBD. What would Olivia Benson do? This is it.
Witnesses told People magazine that the little girl was completely oblivious to the film crew and SVU vet Ice-T. I saw this really. So Ice-T was going back and forth with people on Twitter the other week arguing about wokeness. It was really funny because he just seems kind of oblivious to that. Like to
what did he say?
To the culture war. He was just kind of like, what are you talking about?
Because Ice Cube is the one
Yes.
who likes talking about the culture war.
Yes,
Ice-T, don't be mistaken, he doesn't.
Ice-T is great on Twitter though. He's got like great like boomer dad energy. If boomer dad was also like a rap icon growing up, which I love.
It's just crazy that they're in their 25th season.
1999.
If it ain't broke, just don't fix it.
Well, no, that's it. Like people will complain all the time, and people make fun of me for having loved, like the dad shows or like the network TV shows. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
That's where the money. Like I made fun of. There was the picture of Ellen Pompeo when they announced the new season of Grey's Anatomy.
She
just looks
like
exhausted.
She wants to die. But that's like what every actor and what every writer in Hollywood wants is to have a job on one of those shows.
The steady paycheck.
Yes.
That you get. Like she's making millions upon millions upon millions of dollars doing this every year. And by the 25th season, it's like she could do this half asleep.
And meanwhile, Timothee Chalamet can't even get enough money to film Dune 3.
That's rough,
there's
man.
There's a Timothee Chalamet scammer.
He's got 59 followers, so it checks out.
Yeah.
And the name is
real Timothy.
1111.
Here he messaged this person, "Hey, it's Timothee Chalamet. I'm messaging you from a private account. We want to start shooting Dune 3, but have budget issues. Can you cash at me $600 so we can start filming? I'm with Javier Bardem as well. Nissan Al Gabe." Love the sign off there. I considered like reading through that in a Bangladeshi accent, but I feel like that would be going a little too far for YouTube.
It was amazing, and I saw Dallas Sonnier mention this because he hates Timothee Chalamet. He just can't stand Timothy. He loves to dunk on Timothee Chalamet. He thinks he's a horrible actor.
For him.
And he's like, "This would be great if this was real."
We can't let $600 stand in the way of greatness.
Well, yeah. If you see,
Denis Villeneuve, he needs to chase that bag.
He's like, "Look, we were gonna make it in IMAX, but we need $600 more if we're gonna make it in IMAX."
Yeah, it's just the difference.
All right.
Everyone needs to pitch in.
All right, guys. So if you don't know, Alan Ritchson, who is the star of the show Reacher, was beloved by a conservative audience for much of the last couple of years, has been working overtime to kind of torpedo that success that he had found in doing so. And his most recent blunder was where he decided to criticize the James Bond character as just a little bit too misogynistic.
He just needs to shut up. Why is no one telling him to shut up? He's like ruining. He's doing all these interviews for promo for the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare right now. Right?
Which, by the way, it opened to $9 million on a budget of $60 million. Because it's not a worldwide release, it's only a US release and the rest of it goes straight to streaming. The traditional rules as far as like marketing costs don't tend to apply here.
Okay.
So it's very likely that because this was sold to streaming immediately and it will likely go to Amazon Prime or Peacock right away, it's probably going to make its money back in its streaming rights sale.
Yeah.
Right? So don't take this as like a failure.
Still not great.
They were predicting about 5 to 7 million. It made 9 million.
Yeah.
So,
but it's just like in all of these interviews where you're supposed to be talking about your new movie,
yeah.
Alan Ritchson manages to talk about everything else but the movie, and in the process make his fan base angry at him, incessantly talking about how Trump is a rapist. He's talking about how he doesn't like other Christians. And now he says that James Bond isn't feminist enough. So here's what he said to Entertainment Weekly. "I love those larger-than-life, over-the-top action thrillers and spy movies and the heists that are smart and ahead of the audience. That's really great. But I feel like Bond, to me personally, people are going to hate me for saying this. I love Bond, but I feel like it's a little misogynistic and predictable at this point." So he got immediately praised by feminists calling him a good egg. And they said, right, Alan, right. We like you. You're a smart lad. There's no easy way to say this. There have been other Bond films since the one where Roger Moore gets perved on by a robot while getting off with Paula Ivanova. You can't really call Daniel Craig's run of movies misogynistic or predictable. But Alan Ritchson went on to say, Reacher, to me, is like the American Bond, and I think it's a cool way to go about doing it where it's a little less purposefully cool. He's not in on how slick he is. I don't feel like we can have these characters these days that are in on the joke. Either they know that they're funny, they know that they're smart, they know they're very cool or capable or invincible.
Yeah.
I feel like it reduces the stakes of stories. And we've seen too many movies we're too savvy as an audience to be entertained by that. How does he manage to compare Reacher to both Batman, who he wants to play, and James Bond, who he hates?
Well, what's funny is I don't consider Reacher the American Bond. It was Jason Bourne that really gave Bond a run for his money and convinced Eon Productions to change their format and give us what Daniel Craig gave us after the fact. So that's not accurate to me. I mean, you also have Ethan Hunt, and you have Jack Ryan, and you have all of these other characters that I think people would think of before they would think of Reacher in that case.
Does he just think that Reacher is far more influential than it is?
I mean, he's having a moment right now.
Yeah.
Like the character's having
He's
a moment
kind of
right now.
ruining it.
But I feel like more people know who Jack Ryan is than know who...
And Jason Bourne, too.
And Jason Bourne. But, like, what's interesting is both seduce women. And he's wrong because even from the Pierce Brosnan movies, you had characters like Wei Lin from Tomorrow Never Dies, or you had Jinx in Die Another Day, and then you had Natalia in GoldenEye, who were all very much capable women who were maybe not equals. I mean, Wei Lin is an equal. She was a Chinese spy in that film. And Jinx was also like an American spy. So these aren't women that he seduced, through power. They were equally capable women that he had relations with in the film, which is very much what Reacher does in the television show, both in season 1 and in season 2. So I don't know how he can see this as anything other than hypocritical. That, or maybe he just hasn't watched any James Bond movies.
Has he only watched Sean Connery?
Or Connery and Moore and Dalton. Like, maybe he just hasn't watched any of the newer ones. And even Vesper Lind in the Daniel Craig one was on a mission with him.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It's actually annoying. Like, it just means he didn't do his research on any of this. Or unless what is the whole goal to make all of these characters inherently sexless and boring? Again, you on all the time, you criticize sex scenes in shows. That doesn't mean a character has to be without a romantic interest.
Sure.
It just means you leave it to the imagination when those things actually happen.
It's just weirdly incongruent to see like a guy like Alan Ritchson, who is obviously so stereotypically masculine looking, but then his personality is the complete opposite of that.
In real life.
And he makes sure everyone knows.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like what I realized more than anything is like, you know who loses out on all of this the most is women. There's nothing more problematic and taboo in Hollywood anymore than a woman's rescue fantasy.
Yeah.
You're not allowed.
Sure.
No woman is allowed. Like, now for a woman to be rescued, she has to also envision herself as like a genius who's also contributing to whatever the hero is doing to save the day. A woman can't just have the fantasy anymore where a strong alpha male character saves her from danger.
I feel like that was even a part of, you might think this is ridiculous, but part of the Wonka movie where he, for some reason, is just illiterate and he has this little orphan teaching him how to read. Mm-hmm. Like, why? Why does that type of thing need to be inserted into every script about a male protagonist?
Yeah, I just, in all of these takes just feel so performative to me as of late in a lot of ways.
For Alan Ritchson, it seems like he's actually being genuine, which is worse. Like, he's not even pandering. This is really what he thinks. He's just...
It feels performative in the sense that it's like he's got to get it all out there to prove that he's not what the media is saying he is. But the media wasn't saying that he was.
No one was criticizing him.
Nobody was criticizing him.
Calling him, misogynistic.
I didn't see things saying
no
like,
one was...
are Reacher fans alt-right adjacent? I never saw anything like that.
No, yeah. And you would think that you would have. right? But
I mean,
he's getting ahead of it before it's even there.
It happened to Chris Pratt. So when The Terminal List was coming out, they were like, it's dad TV for MAGA dads and stuff like that. You know.
Well, why did they say that about Terminal List but not Reacher?
Chris Pratt.
Because of Chris Pratt?
They hate Chris Pratt.
Okay.
You know, and that's, you know, as we know, he is the most easy to criticize. He's one of the most unique cases in Hollywood where he's just built up so much clout and connections that he's able to exist.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but I guess Alan Ritchson was worried about getting shoved into a corner as the new Chris Pratt and wanted to get ahead of that talk by spewing all of these feminist takes and leftist takes constantly.
Well, and also it's a long road if you choose the not addressing angle. So Chris Pratt just chooses to not, most of the time. He had that one interview that he gave for like Men's Health where he talked about religion and he seemed to walk it back. But for the most part, every couple of months, there's a bunch of people on Twitter or articles dunking on Chris Pratt and he chooses the ignore option. He does not address it. And I think that that serves him perfectly well. But for somebody who is as active on social media as Alan Ritchson is, meaning that he's got his own YouTube channel talking about, he clearly wants to talk about things that are important to him. Some people just don't have that inclination. And it's probably better for them not to.
What annoys me about it is it's so presumptuous to think anyone was interested in hearing your political takes. No one was pestering Alan Ritchson for his take on Trump or his take on cops or his take on religion or any of these things, but he's volunteering it as if anyone asked.
He's pissed that his fame didn't come sooner when the things that he wants to talk about were relevant. Meaning Trump,
like back in the mid 2010s.
Yeah, well, you know,
late 2010s
before the 2020 election.
Yeah,
Summer of Love, stuff like that. He wanted to be famous then when it was relevant, so he could talk about it and speak of these things. And I would think I was one of the first people to mention that. I was looking at his Instagram one day and found a bunch of old posts talking about social reform.
The highlight is still up on his Instagram.
And none of that bothers me, and I know this will piss people off in the chat. I will watch Reacher Season 3 and judge it on its merits.
You're giving money to people who hate you, Brett.
Again, but I'm not a culture warrior, so I don't care. But I'm also going, people forget, he's going to be in Fast and the Furious 11, because he was a bad guy in that one, and he made it through the last movie, and he's going to be in the next one after that. So he's got, if we're to look at this analytically, he has likability issues from the general public that are going to play a role in at least some of the Fast and the Furious franchise has been great at not politicizing its audience. Like, people go to that movie knowing exactly what they're going to get. They're not, everything, other than the vague threats of a female Fast and the Furious movie, which has never come to fruition, which they threaten us with every couple of years.
There's no subverting expectations.
Not with the actual movies, because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a bunch of people who are doing half meta humor. You're going to get Dom who takes it completely seriously. You're going to hear the word family 10,000 times. You're going to see cars do things that cars can't actually do. And you're going to leave the theater generally satisfied.
Yeah, and you can hate on that for it being too corporatized or too formulaic, or it's basically the equivalent of drive-through fast food for movies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's successful. It's a successful formula.
Yeah, it's, to me,
so you really can't even hate.
If it's making its money, it's making its money. Yeah. Now, it's making that money increasingly less in America and more overseas, but that's fine. That's still a market for them to tap. So we'll have to wait and see what his next big insult is to his general public. One of the most interesting things to pay attention to will be when Reacher Season 3 comes out. Remember, it got like a 2-season renewal, if I remember correctly. What those ratings look like for Season 3 in the first week. Whether his comments, because you know what's going to happen, right? They're going to start talking about Season 3. Promos are going to start coming out. And people are going to start saying, hey, remember when he said all this stuff about this, and that? Now
there's like a laundry list of quotes that are going to get recycled when he's trying to promote something. I mean, when he was promoting Season 1 or 2 of Reacher, it didn't seem like he engaged in any of this. But now that he feels like he's on the up and up, he's like safe to start using his platform like that.
We got a $20 one here. It says, could be his manager or agent saw the demographics of who's watching his show and told him he needed to get ahead of the media meltdown.
There was no media meltdown, though. Like, that's the most puzzling thing. And maybe if that's the case, he shouldn't have listened.
Yeah, so if we're talking about, like, the demographics of Reacher, right? He's already worked well past that. He had the faith-based film that came out this year.
Oh, what was that?
With
Ordinary Angels.
Ordinary Angels. Mm-hmm. So he had that. He had Fast and the Furious franchise. He had the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I would say that Fast and the Furious franchise is firmly mainstream. Mm-hmm. What is it called again?
Ordinary Angels.
That was a faith-based film. Nobody was expecting that to make a ton of money, but it would label him at least a little bit. Now, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is a Guy Ritchie film. Henry Cavill comes with a little bit of a stink of people who don't like the mainstream press because people love Henry Cavill for not hating on fans. It sucks that not hating on fans is a politicized issue.
Yeah.
But it is.
I just imagined like Henry Cavill was on set with Alan Ritchson and being like, look at this cringe lord over here.
I would love that.
But you said you saw like someone comment and say Alan Ritchson isn't movie star material.
So which
is just ridiculous. Like that's a huge cope.
Like he doesn't even look like a movie star. I'm like, that is the biggest cope I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's a cope.
He's exactly what an action movie star should look like.
Yeah.
That's probably what's problematic. They want action stars that don't look like him now. They want your action stars to look like Shia LaBeouf or Timothee Chalamet or Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
That's Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston too. Night Manager got a second and third season renewal, guys. That's what they want action stars to look like. Mm-hmm. They don't want them to look like Alan Ritchson. So he is unique in that respect.
Yeah. So. He just can't stop flapping his jaw.
They're saying his acting isn't leading man material and chat. That depends on the role you give him. With Reacher, it's less is more in a lot of ways, and he acts by having an imposing frame, which is why they constantly reference his size.
Yeah.
That's the huge part of the character. He acts against that a little bit in... So his character in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare basically makes some vague references to being gay.
Oh, his character is gay in the movie?
Like, he talks about being attracted to like one of the other guys there or something like that. I couldn't tell if they were just...
Well, when you're at war, shit happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
So,
That's interesting. I mean...
The question will be, that could be...
He definitely has a gay fan base.
So the question will be, will his fan base, by being mainstream, grow fast enough to outpace the fans he loses by taking these stances?
Yeah.
When I was looking at the fake posts from him on Twitter talking about all this, every post, there's like 5 posts in a row. This is garbage. I'm not watching anymore. Then a 6th post like, I always knew I liked you. I'm going to watch Reacher now. Every 5 or 6 posts, one's like, oh, you're a good egg. I'm going to watch you.
But they're the ones who weren't watching Reacher to begin with.
And it will be a chore for them to watch something they're not interested in.
Right.
So, all right. Let us go ahead and move on then. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's start with cringe, because we got 2, right?
We can show both of them today. Let's look at this one first. This one, it's from an account called Wilder Patriot, and it says, "Who wants to tell her?" Oh, also, you had a description of her appearance, which made me laugh.
Oh, you called her a potato in a waterfall, right?
Yeah, but you said she looks like she should be pretty, but she's...
But something's just not working.
It's like her face looks like a potato or an egg in the middle of like a brown-haired waterfall to me. But that's just me.
Let's hear her out.
All right, let's hear what she has to say.
Because I can't tell if I'm being completely irrational or unreasonable. So I've been seeing this guy, and we've seen each other a couple of times at this point. We decided to have dinner the other night. So we go out to dinner, we both have a couple of glasses of wine at dinner, and then we go back to his place together. This is my first time at his place, and I think we all can assume what happened from there. So I'm going home, and he walks me to my car, thankfully, and as we're saying goodbye, he tells me to text him when I get home. Courteous, right? It took me about 20 minutes to get home, so by the time I'm home, it's around 2 a.m. I text him that I made it home safely, and he doesn't respond. So he texts me back the next morning, and he's like, "Glad you made it home okay." He obviously fell asleep, but I just feel
Thank you! They didn't dance on Friday. You have to dance more today to make up for it.
First time doing it solo. Hard to dance and podcast at the same time unless you get the hang of it.
It's harder than it looks.
Yeah, we're so good at our job. All right, let's continue.
Like, glad you made it home okay. He obviously fell asleep, but I just feel like, given the circumstances, I'm a new girl that you're seeing. We both had a couple of glasses of wine with dinner. We just hooked up, and I was driving home late at night. I feel like he should have stayed awake to make sure I made it home okay. Obviously, I get it that late at night, no one wants to stay up, but like, when you're dating, don't you want to make sure she made it, especially as a guy? I mean, like, I don't have many means to defend myself, like, should something happen. I don't know. I just feel like he should have made sure I made it home okay. Is that unreasonable? I mean, it was like 2 a.m., so I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know.
Bro, automated text.
Delulu.
Automated text response.
Texting back my hookups with AI. No, like, this is just so Delulu.
My belief is that if she had waited to have sex with him and he was still trying to get to that stage of the relationship, he would have stayed up to make sure she's... But now he's gotten what he wants.
No one makes sure that the hooker gets home okay. He bought you for the price of dinner and wine, and you're surprised he doesn't care if you're alive?
It's a little bit ridiculous and entitled.
Yeah.
Like...
But it sounds like she's already made up her mind that it's totally reasonable. So...
I don't know how...
But treat me like a lady. Be a chivalrous gentleman, even though I'm basically a cheap hooker.
So, know what he should have said? You know what his response was? Like, you're so good. I fell asleep. You were so good in bed that I fell asleep. I'm sorry.
Nice save. Nice save,
That's how he
bro.
saves himself. He's like, oh my God. We were done and I was on cloud 9 and I just fell asleep. I'm sorry.
Is she basically admitting that she was driving home drunk?
Maybe it was... No, didn't she say like she got in an Uber?
I don't even know.
Wait.
She said she was driving
At his place, and I think we all can assume what happened from there.
You played Parcheesi?
They played checkers.
So I'm going home, and he walks me to my car, thankfully, and as we're saying goodbye,
her car.
he tells me to...
She was driving drunk.
She's like, I think it's really disrespectful that this guy didn't check on me to make sure I got home safe after driving home drunk.
I really find it disrespectful that he didn't breathalyze me as I was about to drive home drunk. It's just like not chivalrous.
That's like a really quick brag about like driving home drunk, not realizing it, right?
Yeah.
We got a Oh no, we did that one. That was from Collis. I don't know if I mentioned his name before. From Collis S. Bryant. Thank you, Collis. But yeah, that is delusional.
Yes.
Now here's the thing. Maybe if they'd been in a relationship for an actual extended period of time and you'd had the period of time in which you have to develop actual feelings for one another, you know, your desire to make sure that she gets home safe will outweigh your desire to go to bed after having sex.
Stop speaking sense.
Yes.
Stop saying things that make sense, Brett.
We also have this one where Kid Cudi proves himself to be the least athletic person on planet Earth. He was at a concert.
I felt represented.
Okay.
I felt seen.
Damn, had to be on like his biggest song too.
Was he drunk?
Maybe his ankle's already broken. It says he broke his ankle on this fall.
Okay.
But let's see here. Maybe it was already broken.
You could hear him.
How's he singing and breaking his ankle at the same time?
That's crazy. Multi-talented king. No, like after seeing someone break their femur over the weekend, this is nothing to me. I feel nothing.
He has the agility of a 90-year-old woman. I don't mean to laugh.
What was he even attempting to do? I don't understand.
No idea where he was going.
Was he just really drunk?
Was he going to crowd surf, but there was nobody allowed?
Nobody
that
wanted
far
to.
forward, you know?
The security guard just gave up on trying to help him.
Bro, like I just couldn't, like that right there, like just give up after that point. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
I want to see it in slow-mo though.
That's rough though. That's rough. All right, let's go ahead and look at Cute of the Day as well. So he says, was he hallucinating? Yeah, maybe he was tripping. It's possible. It was Coachella.
That
right?
MFer wasn't real.
Yeah. All right. We've got Cute of the Day as well here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. First from Warmaniac 209 says, too lazy effing cuddling. Bella and Gross Chat, fat cat in French. I don't speak French, so.
I like that.
It says, are always together, play together. It's heartwarming to see cat and dog living in harmony.
That's sweet.
That is very sweet.
Love a fat cat. Wait, where's the cat?
Just the dog in that one, and
cute.
this one, they're hanging out together.
Cute.
It's adorable.
Love white cats.
All right.
Oh,
Jay Red says, Kittle's giving her best crazy eye.
that's sweet.
Kittles has a little bit of a lithium stare going on, I'm not gonna lie.
the twitchy.
Kittles looks like there's some SSRIs deep in the bloodstream.
Hey,
I love it.
don't slander.
I'm not. It's very cute. It's very cute. Guys, we're running low again. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I may have missed some of yours. If you haven't seen yours yet and you submit them, I've got a couple waiting here, but we're gonna run out soon. I think there might have been some that I sent to so what I do is I like them and then I send them to myself on Slack so that I can open them here at work. And I think I might have missed some that got stuck farther up because of all of the hecticness coming out with, before the Friday episode, we were sending stuff back and forth and I had to send a bunch of stuff to myself to remind myself to send to other people, and I might have lost some. So if I have not yet put your cat, dog, or pet on Cute of the Day, tag me and the show in there at popculture_show and tag me at Brett Dasovic, hashtag PCC Pets. Yes, I know other people use that. That's ours. We stole it. We're keeping that hashtag, and I will do my best to keep
People
them
always
on there.
take it so personally. They think you're ignoring their pets on purpose. It's not the case.
I'm not waiting to. So I've got some coming up from Layla Hedge, Shane H. Wilder, Cookie Don, and Ellen on the waiting list. But
no spoilers.
Get yours in there for soon. So, all right, Mary, now that we are 56 minutes into the show,
it's fine.
Why don't you tell us what's going on with Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I think Taylor Swift has just reached a new low. She released her album, The Tortured Poets Department, on Friday, and I wasn't going to let you forget about that. Now, I'm not saying, before anyone says this, she is obviously still a billionaire. She's too big to fail. She's doing just fine. But as a person, I think she has reached a new low because she is just showing with this album what an immature person she is. I think I called it 31 repetitive songs that are only relatable to 17-year-old girls and 34-year-old women who are still mentally 17 years old.
Okay.
And a lot of people were kind of hoodwinked because they thought that this album was going to be shitting on her previous boyfriend, Joe Alwyn. But really, it was like 2 songs about him, and the rest of this 31-song album was about a 2-month situationship with a guy who looks like a sewer rat. So I think everyone who isn't part of the Swiftie cult, or everyone who isn't getting paid to promote this, anyone who isn't getting paid to give it good reviews, is shitting on this album right now. They're trashing it because they have to be honest. I saw some negative reviews. So one said, Taylor Swift, The Tortured Poets Department is a rare misstep, surprisingly flat and at times cringeworthy. Tortured Poets Department is stuck in the past. Underwhelming, The Tortured Poets Department, underwhelming and clunky, hollow lyricism. Then Taylor Swift's new album is proof she needs to take a break. Oh, like pretty balanced takes.
Is there anything wrong with taking a break?
For someone as psychotically workaholic as her, probably
but,
yes.
but we're not talking about taking a break from work. We're talking about taking a break from songwriting. Like, wait for new inspiration to hit you.
Well, what she does is she just gets in a new relationship and there's your material. So
Yeah.
Here's an excerpt from one of those negative reviews. Swift seems to be in tireless pursuit of superstardom, yet the negative public opinion it can come with irks her, and it's a tired theme plaguing her discography and leaving little room for lyrical observations she excels at. So you want to be a billionaire, you want to be the most famous pop star on the planet, but you can't handle people sending you mean tweets. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, the thing is, she's insulated enough where if she wanted to, she wouldn't have to read any of them. All of this could go through management.
No, but she's like definitely a name searcher. She's such a narcissist that she can't help but look for negative feedback.
You think so? You think she just goes and
Yes.
she searches Taylor's? That would be boring if you're her, though. It's just going to come up with a bunch of like material that your publicist put out.
I mean, think about what happened with the recorded phone call with Kanye and then people spamming her Instagram comments with snake emojis.
Yeah.
So people were spamming your Instagram comments with snake emojis, and that's your formative trauma in life? Like, get over yourself. The entire thing was just spinning this stupid victimhood narrative, even though she is a billionaire supervillain who is flying around in a private jet plotting world domination. I don't feel bad for you.
I would love a whole album based on like my jet ran out of fuel. I wasn't able to get my table at Le Cirque. Like
I want some real shit like that. Not wah, poor me. I'm so famous and it's so hard to be me.
She's like, my black card expired and I had to order a new one.
They said that this album came from a need to write. It's just that maybe we didn't need to hear it. And I wish that I hadn't. Honestly, I will say I did not listen to the whole album because it all sounds so similar. And I wanted to show a video to prove this, where someone is just scrolling through all these songs showing that it all sounds like the same song.
They're all about 2 seconds long, so pray to the content gods that we don't get
copyright gods.
The copyright gods that we don't get copyrighted for any of these.
Trucks more, it's the depths of sun. All of it in how the night when she wanted it. Go out, isn't fun.
Oh, is that the one with the lyrics? With the which song is the one with the racist with the lyrics?
Oh
about
yeah,
the 1830s?
the lyrics about
or
racism.
Is I Hate It Here the one about Kim Kardashian?
That's
literally all I know about this.
The one about Kim Kardashian is called "Thank You, Amy," but the only capitalized letters are Kim.
I mean, this all does sound very much the same to me.
Yes. The lyric you were mentioning is, "We would pick a decade we wished we could live in instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racists."
Does she know that if she was to live in that time period, she would be that? Okay, I was actually having this discussion with someone earlier when we were talking about Molly Ringwald and like how her movies were too white. I was like, yeah, and you said nothing, thus proving that you were a product of your time, just like everybody else before you was a product of their time. And that's annoying to me, right? Like, it's one thing to look back at the world that you lived in and be like, it should have been different when I was that age, because at least then you can hold yourself accountable.
Everyone thinks that if they lived in a different time period, they would have been the revolutionary,
Like,
and
no,
it's not.
You weren't
true.
even that in the earlier version of yourself.
Right.
You know, like you weren't even that in the earlier version of your own work.
Right.
So am I supposed to buy that you were suddenly going to hold 21st century like ivory tower ethics based on what, like a couple of years of indoctrination suddenly was gonna somehow just enter your? It's like they don't actually know where any of this information came from, right?
No, they
believe they woke up one day and it was just there.
But they think what they're told to think, essentially. I think on my screed, I also called Taylor Swift the Kim Jong-un of the music industry, because she is instilling fear in anyone who says anything negative about her or this album, including this journalist who wrote a negative review for Paste magazine. They said in an editor's note, "There is no byline on this review due to how in 2019, when Paste reviewed Lover, the writer was sent threats of violence from readers who disagreed with the article. We care more about the safety of our staff than a name attached to an article." They're keeping their journalist anonymous in order to criticize this album because they're worried about Swifties sending them death threats and sending them like weird powder in the mail.
That is bonkers.
They're insane. Like,
that is bonkers.
I think that the Swifties are just fully in the depths of delusion. And one person said, "It's unbelievable how people can still listen to this woman and not get tired of the same sound over and over again for about 8 albums now." But I think they are getting tired of it, because I saw the streaming drops for the second day after this album's release were pretty bad. It's showing a loss of 10 or more million streams per song on all of these, because that just shows Swifties are all using like bot farms to like artificially boost these streaming numbers. She's getting payola from Instagram because when you scroll on the Reels tab, it has a pop-up link to her album. She's getting payola from iHeartRadio who played her album on repeat on all 800 of their stations all day.
There was definitely, so when I was home over the weekend, went to the Mall of America, definitely saw merch and the music playing in many stores.
Everyone is starting to feel like that Taylor Swift machine is totally fake and artificial. Like, I'm not saying it's entirely that. Like, there's definitely an organic appeal to her, but the public is growing tired of her.
Okay.
I think that's like what I'm trying to say is she's hit the ceiling. Hopefully, her career might have hit the ceiling for its success. Would you say that's unrealistic?
The only other opinions I have about this album come from like someone that listened to it who liked it, and I saw the sentiment that I saw online was people liking it. But again, I'm not Taylor Swift.
I saw mostly negative, but maybe that's just my algorithm.
And mine was just Twitter For You page was mostly people talking about it in a positive sense. But I don't know how much of that is organic, nor do I think that it's really indicative of anything for me because I'm not the demographic of people that's going to watch or listen to any of this. I think that enough of the population is consumer that it doesn't go anywhere and she stays on top as long as she wants to, honestly. I think that overwork and is a bigger threat to her than her music becoming unlistenable.
Sure.
Right? Like, I think there's enough of an indication that people who like her are going to like her no matter what she makes, and she can continue to put out those albums. It is interesting to see how it ties into her personal life, given that her personal life is so sought after by people now. You know, people wanting to know what's going on with, you know, who she's dating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I was Travis Kelce, I would have ran as fast as possible. Like, it's like at least if Travis Kelce was younger, I would have, because it would be a distraction to his work. But
well, he's about to retire.
He's in the twilight of his career, anyways.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I think that
nobody's saying that she tanked. Like the album sales seemed fine.
No, of course she's not. Yeah, she's not tanking, and certainly not in any financial trouble. That's, as we said, she's literally too big to fail at this point. But I think that's only what is driving public sentiment out of her favor.
I did see an interesting thread. You didn't see it. I wish I had saved it, of somebody talking about the anti-Christian lyrics in the song. And they said it was a thread of like 7 or 8 more songs that they felt had anti-Christian lyrics to it, which is interesting given that her fan base, she benefits heavily from, you know, Christians who can compartmentalize, who understand that, you know, she may not hold their views anymore, or at least maybe she pays lip service to them. But it's the whole thing about how conservative women unapologetically like Taylor Swift and don't have a problem with separating art from artist, even though politically she's very different from them.
I mean, I didn't notice that there were any supposedly anti-Christian lyrics, but I guess I'll look into that at some point. But I think a huge sentiment of the album was her being mad at her own fans. Because
explain that.
Yeah, she resents the fact that her fans are intensely interested in her personal life and her dating life. And they sent her a lot of negativity when she started dating Matty Healy last year because he is allegedly racist. He said racially insensitive remarks about Ice Spice, if you recall. And he allegedly watches pornography, which is highly debasing to black women.
Yeah.
I don't know if that part is true, but that was the general the sentiment, and people were calling him a neo-Nazi. So overall, I think the pressure got to a point where she just felt it wasn't a good PR move to be seen with this guy anymore, and she had to like bring Ice Spice on stage with her to make everyone realize that she was the good guy all along. She was trying to de-radicalize him, blah, blah, blah. I saw an inside source say this was Matty Healy's reaction to the album. Matty still thinks very highly of Taylor, but we were all nervous about what she might have said on the album. Matty Healy, quote, couldn't be happier with how the record turned out. I have reason to doubt that because a few days after the album was announced by Taylor Swift at the Grammys, he was on stage super drunk, making veiled threats at someone who you know who you are. I want to play that video for you guys.
I got it here. Hold on. Here we go.
Do not come for me. Trust me, you know who I'm talking to. Honestly, you know who you are. I am as mental as I see it. Have the receipts. Don't fuck with me. Trust me.
Loses its weight when you won't actually name the person.
But you know who you are. Yeah. That came from, I don't know if you remember this, but they both did like a little shout out to each other on stage where they mouthed the words, "You know who you are, I love you." That was like a few months before that.
Yeah.
So I think that was targeted at her. But I think a lot of people are feeling like Joe Alwyn deserves an apology right now because they're realizing that Taylor Swift is psycho.
Yeah.
And that he never actually did anything wrong. She just mobilizes her fan base to go hate on these people that she dates. And
so this
clearly shows that she's not acting her age.
This was the 2 tweets that she liked, right? That she wanted
Yes, Taylor Swift liked these 2 Instagram posts. You guys can now see she's the problem here. And here is a photo of Abby Lee Miller from Dance Moms putting the names of her ex-boyfriends into a pyramid to rank them, with Joe Alwyn at the bottom and Travis Kelce at the top, and then a Hunger Games meme where they shot the cannon for Joe Alwyn's metaphorical death in response to this album. She liked this post and then unliked it. And
Pepper's Farm remembers.
This woman is 34 years old and she is acting like a teenage girl. Of course, only teenage girls are going to find that charming.
Yeah.
Right? I think that maybe millennial women shouldn't make being a Swiftie part of their identity at this point. Yeah. Because it's just incredibly immature to identify with this woman.
Do you think that there's a point where her fame and money runs headlong into her fan base, and the fact that the fan base that she's cultivated is going to be part of the social justice crowd? Therefore, they will ever find the hypocrisy a little bit more than they can take.
Taylor Swift's hypocrisy. And
I mean, just
dating a guy who's politically incorrect.
No, not just that, but just the money, her wealth.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen plenty of them talking about, like, is it possible for Taylor Swift to be an ethical billionaire? Yeah. Because they so often say it's impossible to be an ethical billionaire.
Because you're saying that you feel that she's upset with her fan base now.
Yeah. That's a sentiment that a lot of people saw in
Maybe
the
for her last album, she just writes a whole album about how much she hates her fans, and that's how she goes out.
I think that would be iconic. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Super Chats. Shane H. Wilder... Oh, I already read that one. Andrew Jacobs said, Mary, great job on Megan. Next, Tucker or Rogan?
Who would you rather do? That's an interesting question. Who would you rather do, Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan? I think I know the answer to that.
I mean, I doubt that either of those are in the hopper right now, but I guess I would rather talk to Tucker.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I do want to show this at least before, even though it's this was funny though.
Oh,
this meme. Yes.
This is where we torture the poet.
It's very rough to live.
She lives such a hard life. It's
very difficult.
No one understands how hard it is to fly in the private jet.
Guys, let's get a second crisis party, huh?
The Master of Violence said, Mary, what is C censored?
What is it, Mary?
I don't want to say that word on YouTube.
Well, if you want to, you'll have to see you. We'll have to see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. No Diggity said, Friday was fun. Great show. Welcome back.
Glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Yep. And let's do one more. And again, thank you to Kellen and Shane and Ian for doing such a great job.
Brewmaster Monk said, you can tell Taylor Swift is a chanter when her hit single is called Fortnite. Also, did you guys watch Abigail? It was fun. I have not seen it.
I was out of town this weekend. It came in second at the box office.
It's a horror movie, right?
Yeah, it came in second behind Civil War, kept the top spot this weekend. Godzilla vs. Kong came in third. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare came in fourth. Let's hold off on the rest. Okay. Let's come back after the fact. Why don't you tell everybody this story about Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah. Breaking Bad actor Giancarlo Esposito recently did an interview where he revealed that he was so broke and so depressed at one point in his life, he considered the possibility of hiring a hitman to take him out, essentially. Now, this is kind of dark. But he also said that him getting his role on Breaking Bad is essentially what saved his life.
Yep.
So this was from a recent interview he did on a radio show. He said he went through 2 bankruptcies before landing his role in Breaking Bad, as well as a foreclosure on his home. At his lowest, he told the hosts that he considered sewer slide. The first thing that had me think there was a way out was my wife's father. He was in insurance, so I asked my wife, I started poking around, how much am I insured for? And then she told me, my way out in my brain was, hey, do you get life insurance if someone commits sewer slide? Do they get the bread? And my wife said, well, that's kind of tricky. He said from there, he started scheming.
What if any alarm bells went off?
I mean, I hope that she would see that as a red flag, like, hey, maybe he needs some help, but I don't know. They're not together anymore. He said, if I got somebody to knock me off, death through misadventure, they would get the insurance. I had 4 kids. I wanted them to have a life. It was a hard moment in time. I literally thought of self-annihilation so that they could survive. That's how low I was. But he said, I started to think that's not viable because the pain I would cause them would be lifelong, and lifelong trauma that would just extend the generational trauma I'm trying to move away from. The light at the end of the tunnel was Breaking Bad. I had a few little things before to start to recover, but Breaking Bad was the light.
I want to point out, he has acting credits going back to 1979. He was in The Usual Suspects.
Oh, really?
Yes. He has acting credits going all the way back to 1979. When I tell you guys about journeyman actors, the actor you've seen in everything, even if you don't know their name, he is the quintessential dude who is very, very good at his job. You can drop him into any show, give him a role, and he will give you something worth watching. He's very, very good at his job. But I think he was only in like 26 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Really?
And the point is like,
it felt like it was more than that when I watched it.
And I look at all these things and you think about what they make, and all of these stories come up about actors. You talk about, look, there isn't a lot of money in being you being in one episode because you're constantly looking for work. You're going from role to role to role. Now, a lot of them do theater as well, and they make money doing that. And
commercials?
A lot of commercials make money for them, for a lot of people as well too. But it shows to you that, like, unless you're that top tier, unless you're Ellen Pompeo or you're Olivia Benson, to refrain from messing up Mariska's last name again, those are the ones who make a ton of money, the ones who get that big contract for a show that goes 20 seasons. But there's only a couple of those per per network.
You're either someone like, on Grey's Anatomy, or you're in the echelon of like Robert De Niro. Yeah. And there's kind of this in-between realm. And I think that's where a lot of the discord was coming from in the middle of the strikes in Hollywood, and people talking about how uncertain your livelihood is when you work in this field. I understand that is difficult, but the spirit of the strike was just felt so entitled.
I just want to put this on screen so they can get an idea of just how many roles he has, like 197 credits to his name just in acting. And it's just an idea. So starting down here, where he played Puerto Rican teenager on something called Running in 1979, and then you go all the way up.
Wait, so was Breaking Bad his, I guess, breakout role?
That's not the first thing I saw him in, but like I also have like.
And what has he been in since Breaking Bad?
So
actually?
he's like, we can go through and look at that right now. So he was in Abigail, which just came out. He was in The Gentleman, which is the Guy Ritchie show that's on Netflix right now. Harley Quinn he's playing Lex Luthor as Harley Quinn, the voice only. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, he was the voice of Baxter Stockman. The Mandalorian as Moff Gideon.
Okay.
He's in a lot of stuff. So Godfather of Harlem, Kaleidoscope, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Euphoria, Better Call Saul, The Boys, The Big Lie, Beauty, The Boys Presents, Far Cry 6, who does video games as well, DuckTales, like all the way down. And these are just the stuff that's been post, that all those things that I just read, leaving a bunch of them out, only goes back to 2020. And going all the way back, if you go to just after Breaking Bad, he mentions in that article, he's like, what if I want to do Disney? He ended up voicing a character in the Jungle Book live action that came out in 2016.
I want to know, from your perspective, how does this compare to the story about Angelina Jolie? Angelina Jolie also said that she considered hiring a hitman to kill her.
I think what that says to me is that to be an actor, you have to be a little bit crazy. I don't mean that in a mean way. And here's the thing. I actually push back when people say they get paid to play pretend. I get it, especially when these actors say things that piss you off, when they give their lame, uneducated political takes. It's frustrating. But to be an actor is to be unbelievably vulnerable in front of a lot of people. If you've ever had to do like a school play, or even if you've been here at a company like this where they do the skits and stuff like that, right? And then you realize what it's like to actually have to deliver dialogue and be self-conscious about what it sounds like, right? To do that on the professional level with millions of dollars at stake for these companies, it's not just that they're playing pretend, which is demonstrably true. The point is that you're putting yourself out there in a very real way in front of a lot of people. Actors tend to be more self-conscious than the average person to begin with because they're willing to try and access emotions that they're not actually feeling in the moment, which drive anybody a little bit crazy from time to time. So is it a rational response? No, but I think it just proves that there's a very thin line between sane and insane at a job like that. I think your circumstances dictate aspects of that.
Well, in the way that Giancarlo Esposito told that story, it seemed more like it's the way a lot of men feel when they can't provide, because that's like a very almost fully biological drive that's in men, that they want to provide for their wives and their kids. But when I read through Angelina Jolie's story, it says it's more related to her mental health issues that she suffered throughout her life, which makes sense with what you just said.
So hers is internal and personal. His is that it's my job as the patriarch of this family to provide for those that I love. Yeah. And I'm not able to do that right now.
Even though it's like not okay to say that now, like that you would feel something uniquely as a man. Yeah. That's not really okay to talk about now.
But he also beautifully pulls it back here and says it was his family that pulled him through this.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what's important.
So Angelina Jolie said she hired a hitman whose task was to kill her. A couple of years ago, she said, he was a decent enough person and asked if I could think about it and call him again in 2 months. Something changed in my life and I figured I would stick it out.
Honestly, that should be a movie. No, honestly, people love the idea of like the gentleman criminal.
Right.
Right. So,
well, I mean, I feel like this guy was probably law enforcement. Like almost certainly.
Yeah. Well, in the movie version, he's not.
But in the movie, he's just a gentleman.
He's a killer with a conscience who's like, look, I'll do it, but just make sure you actually want it to happen.
But also, he falls in love with her because she's quirked up.
She's a quirk-chungus.
She's a quirk-chungus. She said, with suicide comes all the guilt of people around you thinking they could have done something. With somebody being murdered, however, nobody takes some kind of guilty responsibility. So I guess that was her internal justification for considering that at the time. But
Crazy Cat says the gentleman R-wordist. No.
We didn't say that.
What we're talking about, it's like, the best example I can give you is if you watch the movie Heat, when Macaulay goes to rob the bank, he kindly informs everyone there that they're like, if you do something, we're going to do something to you, but your money is not at risk here. Only the bank's money is at risk. Yours is insured by the federal government. You're not going to lose a dime. Don't do something stupid. I don't want to hurt you, but I will if I have to. That's the idea of the gentleman criminal, right?
He's like, you forced my hand.
Yes, I don't want to do this to you. In fact, I'm not even stealing your money. I'm stealing the bank's money. The other thing that I find interesting about this is like, do you think that the concept, as our society becomes more narcissistic and we turn almost all our thoughts inward, and it's about what society does to us, not what we do to society these days. Is the concept of suicide being something selfish going to go away eventually in the public consciousness?
With the way that programs like Made in Canada are being pushed right now, it's more and more being framed, unfortunately, as a form of self-care.
Yeah.
Suicide as self-care.
Doesn't matter what your loved ones think about you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Only
if you're
your
gonna hurt them.
subjective experience and your control over whether you suffer matters. And that obviously totally does away with the idea that, first of all, suffering is temporary. Secondly, that human suffering is or can be meaningful. As our society becomes more nihilistic, I'm hearing less and less talk of suicide prevention as a cause. I think I've mentioned that before because now it's basically up to your own discretion, and of course the government will benefit from you taking yourself out of society because you're a drain on resources, because that's the only thing that a human being is measured in now, like how much they can contribute to the GDP.
We are in an increasingly nihilistic society, which is sad, because it's actually the worst part about that is it's extremely nihilistic and framed in positive terms, and framed in giving in polite terms, that you're doing this for yourself, so it's a good thing. Like
this 28-year-old who is using the MAID program after getting advised to do so by her own therapist, saying, well, you're right, it's never going to get better for you. Right. Give up. And she is still only 28 years old. And, you know, she has a boyfriend, she has a family that she will be leaving behind. None of that is up for consideration. Basically, the experts are telling you that your situation is hopeless. So who else are you supposed to trust? Another thing you should check out Esposito in is Revolution. If you never watched the show Revolution, if you can find that, it's not on any streaming services that I use right now. But Revolution was a really, really fun show with Tracy Spiridakos. He was in that one. It's really, really good. It's just crazy, like 200 credits. You know, I don't know what his average pay is per episode, but you know, when you're only making, you know, one shot per episode, working 7 days at a time, and you've got a family and you've got to provide for them, that is a certain level of fear. It's like it takes the whole idea of the independent contractor, the person who's always looking for the next job, to another level. He doesn't have to worry about that now. Yeah. He's a household name. And there's enough stuff getting made that he's kind of the biggest beneficiary of the overblown budgets and the content farming that's been done, just the amount of content that's been made. Because if he's working 7 days on a show for one appearance, he's in high demand. He can get something on all of these things. Like, he's one of those people where if he auditions, he's going to be pushed to the front of the line because his record, it speaks for itself. That comes at different points for different people.
Yeah. So he probably is one of the biggest benefactors of the fact that the boom of content that was made on streaming after, you know, when COVID hit and things like that. So I'm glad things turned around for him, but it is a very, very interesting question as to somebody who's a provider, somebody who's picked a profession that is very, very unsure of itself at the best of times. I always say that if you're looking for the best agents, look for the actors who they go from one big show to the next big so like David Boreanaz started off on Buffy, was a regular on Buffy for several seasons, immediately went into Angel, which is a spinoff of Buffy, leaves Angel after 5 or 6 seasons, does Bones for 13 seasons. Immediately after that goes to SEAL Team, which does 7 or 8 seasons. He is never without work.
Yeah.
As a leading man, he's made a lot of money by being a reliable actor that's just going to have those jobs. And there's a lot of those television actors do that.
But on the other side of the coin, we have the people who were striking last year saying that they should get 6 figures of income for 10 weeks of work. And, you know, my sympathy's lost.
Yep.
Let's go back to Super Chats.
Let's do it.
Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, quit thinking about death. That's Mary's job. That and fashion.
No, my point is that I'm like I am not main character syndromed enough to think that anything's going to happen in that respect. And if it did, I won't be alive long enough to appreciate the irony.
You're actually invincible.
Yeah.
Cody Boudreau said OnlyFans and X videos works better on Android phones.
What does?
OnlyFans. Good to know, buddy.
I'll have to do my research on that.
Hiroshima Otaru said they use inert gas for packaging argon or nitrogen.
That's the stuff in the chips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's do one more and let's hold off on the rest. Let's get a second crisis party, guys.
Tacti Platty said, can confirm your Sheetz workers there are good.
Yes, they are. They're fantastic.
I see all said, hello, Mary. Hello, Brett. So, are you guys taking over IRL's much bigger studio, or are you staying put?
I don't think our show would work in the bigger studio. We have
IRL's studio, if you mean the one that they are moving out of, it's not actually that much bigger than the one we are in right now.
just a bigger table.
It has a bigger table. That's pretty much the only difference.
Yeah.
And I don't really think it's our vibe.
Like it would look weird to then suddenly start. Well, also it would be difficult because on this show, I kind of sit and do a little bit of what Kellen or Serge does and what Tim does, and the system's not set up for to be able to run both. Like we would need to change some things. Like it wouldn't really be worth doing that. We like you guys.
I said I'm gonna take naps in there.
Well, you need to just clear all the stuff off the top of the table.
I'll just sleep on the table
and put down like a futon or a mattress on top of there, and just turn it into a huge bed.
Tim, if you're watching, that's a joke.
Designated napping area.
200 Watt Studios said Christmas Jones in The World Is Not Enough was a nuclear scientist.
Well, exactly. So the great thing about that is, first of all, as I point out, Denise Richards, most believable nuclear scientist you've ever seen, ever. Of course, 110%.
Nuclear scientist Barbie.
And then the other actress in that is also, she plays a femme fatale. So you get a little bit of both worlds. You're more likely to get the femme fatale now and the nuclear physicist that looks like a Barbie than you are to get a character that just needs to be saved. Yeah. Right? So, and it's a bad argument to begin with, because even before that, or even after that, you get Jinx, played by Halle Berry, which is like an American spy, and the other character is played by Rosamund Pike, who plays a member of MI6 as well. So it's like, where is the perverse and coercive, seducing? Are these women who hold these high positions of authority, jobs that command respect, not capable of choosing who they have sex with?
I'm pretty sure I listened to an interview of one of the Bond girls. She did this interview relatively recently, and she was in like the movies in like the 60s or 70s. Yeah. And she didn't say anything negative like that about how it was misogynistic or anything like that. She had only positive memories and positive things to say about the franchise and her character and James Bond. Yep. No one actually feels this way except for Alan Ritchson, apparently.
It wasn't until the last Bond movie they removed the term Bond girls.
Right.
You can't use the term Bond girls anymore.
I mean, is that term even used in?
No, not in the films.
They're not used in the films, so who cares, right? Or who would even care if they were? Whatever.
And I'm not gonna lie. I didn't end up like I loved the idea. I loved the execution of Daniel Craig's of the Bond love story where he falls in love with Vesper in Casino Royale. The betrayal, and then they come around and she dies, and it hardens him and turns him into the spy he needs to be, because he's understood what betrayal was now, and he's hardened to his core. I love that. I didn't need the ne'er-do-well or the romance that comes after that. I liked that he became a little bit more like the old misogynist. There's definitely a scene in Skyfall that you couldn't do today with the girl in the shower. No.
What year?
2012.
Okay. A lot has changed since then.
Yes, you cannot do that scene now. Like that would be seen as, that might be the most coercive scene that they've done in that Daniel Craig era of Bond films. Can't do that now. But I like the idea of that Bond who isn't emotionally attached to a specific woman. Though we have to wonder now, as they go into the next Bond, whether it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, like it was reported, or if it ends up being someone else, are they even going to be willing to do individual love stories per film? where he just, mission and, does the mission, does the girl, and leaves.
That's not going to be a thing.
It should be, but it's probably not going to be. So
I mean, I think all of the Bond girls for Aaron Taylor Johnson are just going to be AARP members.
They're gonna be like he's gonna carry their walkers for them across. Yeah. He's gonna help them put their walker in the back of their minivan, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, Mr. Bond." Let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact. Time to talk about Zuck's glow up.
Yeah, I never thought I would say this, but Mark Zuckerberg is a Rizzlord now. He just went through a massive glow up, and everyone is posting about his transformation right now. They're saying he went from Mr. Steal Your Data to Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Here's the picture of first of all, the picture on the right is fake.
Yes.
The
okay.
beard.
Not entirely fake though.
Yes.
The beard, the facial hair is fake, but I think that once Zuck sees this, he's gonna start growing his beard.
He posted a picture of like putting the trimmers down.
Yes. He knows. He's seen everyone talking. Look, he's seen the ladies swooning.
He's always putting out him working out. He's always putting out videos of him doing MMA, of doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's about to be Mr. Steal Your Girl and Mr. Steal Your Data.
Yes. My man is aging in reverse. They're saying he finally hit puberty. But yes, the beard on him is AI generated. A lot of people didn't know that, but he's taking the advice of the internet, and he's trying to grow his beard right now. Another one said, LMAO, Mark started doing TRT or something because this dude looked like a walking Discord mod up until last year, or he just hit puberty late. I don't know.
Look, it is a long known fact. It's a widely known fact that beards are a savior for many, many men. Have you ever seen the meme about the Chad meme? And he's got no beard,
right?
And his face is completely. He's got no chin, and then you add the beard, and he's a completely different dude.
Yeah,
that's a real thing.
A beard can work wonders for many men, especially because he kind of has a narrow face, so it could add some width to his jawline. And he's not even
Logan
40
Paul.
yet.
It benefits both the Paul brothers as well.
He has not even hit 40 yet, and he's glowing up. Yeah. That adrenochrome must be crazy, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks shockingly good, and some people are saying that he's doing this to compete with Jeff Bezos and his lady, Lauren Sanchez.
Well, that's because, look, we had a whole article we didn't cover last week where, like, Lauren Sanchez now has her own writer at some magazine, just like Taylor Swift has her own writer. I don't actually believe there's enough organic interest in Lauren Sanchez to do that.
No, but they're going to create
I do enjoy her rejection of anything that even
of any decorum whatsoever.
I love that she goes to the White House looking like a slut.
Yeah, I mean,
it's awesome.
Lauren Sanchez is Jeff Bezos's Bianca Censori.
I love it.
Basically.
It's awesome.
She's not dressing quite as trashy as Bianca, but pretty close for a billionaire's wife. Yeah.
Business slutty or black tie slutty, whatever you want. And I look, it's hilarious and it's awesome. Let him do it. I look at people like, if we're going to judge people like Bezos or people like Zuckerberg, who are these larger than life people who are, for the most part, it's interesting because I would imagine that Bezos is more of an enemy to the left, being the billionaire that he is, and Zuckerberg is kind of, I feel like he's gone through this weird transformation where he's so weird that nobody even really has an opinion other than the fact that he's weird. Like, dunking on Facebook for stealing your data becomes less important when you realize that nobody actually wants to use Facebook anymore anyways. So it's like he's become, that's what I found interesting about this topic, is like he is his own realm of discussion that has nothing to do with Facebook anymore. It's about him doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's about him glowing up. It's about him looking like an alien. It has very little to do with all of the evils that come out of Meta.
Yeah, someone posted a before and after and said, who is running the Zuck PR campaign to rehab his image? They're putting on an absolute clinic. And it's true. I mean, I think he's played into his geekiness for so long. Now he's finally ready for people to see him as a human being instead of a robot. But they're calling this new aesthetic mob chic. He says he's embracing mob chic aesthetic, and his wife is embracing the mob wife aesthetic. And they were recently at a UFC event, just like absolutely dripping. They have a new look. and they're competing with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez.
I mean, she looks
right
like
now.
she would look like she'd be like a supervillain's number 2 in a Marvel movie.
I saw people were also posting about Priscilla saying like, hey, since when is Mark Zuckerberg's wife hot? She had a glow up of her own as well.
She looks like the when we what did we go see where they were and the completely the charisma vacuum that was that number 2 bad guy in Aquaman. The girl,
yeah,
who was like the most boring character you've ever seen in your entire life. That's who she reminds me of.
I almost didn't remember her.
Yes.
Yes, I remember now. But yeah, I think that this is a positive development for Zuck. Maybe not for the Zuck haters.
I think what it proves is like, look, human beings will always find these types of people who have been this relevant to society fascinating no matter what they're doing. What was Zuckerberg, other than looking like an alien and stealing your data? Before that, it was like, look at him. He goes out and wears the same shirt and pants every day.
He's using elevated basics now.
Yes.
He took the uniform of the tech billionaire CEO and elevated it to look a little bit more rizzed up.
Like he should have his own line where it's like, he's got before basics where it's just he wears that blue shirt and the same shorts or jeans every day. And it's always like you always get the dude who's like the money podcast who says it cuts down on your decision making if you wear the same thing every day. I got choices to make because I'm a businessman.
I mean, look, he's like wearing this chain and he has like the zoomer curly hair on the top of his head.
Honestly,
he looks like he's gotten a bit of a tan.
I saw the chain and I thought it was like paper clips put together.
He would do that.
There was an episode. There was like this old meme that goes around where Hulk Hogan forgot his chain on an episode of WCW and wore paper clips together and thought nobody would notice.
Another user calling himself Leif Erikson had this take, which is absolutely unhinged. I actually called this a few weeks ago. These people are going to Aryanize their appearance the first chance they get. They have absolutely no concept of limitation. They'll embrace every appearance-altering technology, and in the process, they will become unrecognizable to themselves. Their inferiority complex is the reason they want us wiped off the face of the earth. But this seems to be more a case of the talented Mr. Ripley. They just want us out of the way so that they can be us. It will be their undoing. I have no idea why people are making this into a conspiracy. I think that Zuck just upgraded his PR team.
This is something interesting that I just found out. So if you look up Jeff Bezos, Lauren Sanchez on Google, right? It doesn't come up with both of them. It just comes up with Lauren. It's just the top search is just Lauren Sanchez. Well, now, if you look up Lauren Sanchez, Jeff Bezos in opposite order, it's still just Lauren Sanchez.
So Lauren Sanchez is trying to meme herself to be more relevant than
look, she's
Jeff
got her own
Bezos.
PR team going for her right now.
What about Melinda Gates? Is Melinda Gates going to have a glow up?
No.
Her post-divorce glow up?
No, she's going to give away all her money before she can afford to do that. She's going to give away her billions.
Well, she was just dating like some Fox News anchor, right?
Was she?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she broke up with him.
I look at this stuff and I laugh because it's like nobody actually, like I have a lot of like, when it comes to Jeff Bezos, when you live out here in areas that are kind of in the sticks, where like it takes a while to get to and from a place, you have a lot of respect for what Amazon has built, that people can get packages from anywhere now in 2 days. And you see just how much infrastructure he built for that company. It's why I get so annoyed at the people who just talk crap on the concept of capitalism to begin with. It's like, none of this exists without the ability to profit heavily off of it, right?
Sure.
To build something that's that much good, that does that much good for society. So I have a little bit of goodwill when he's going around looking like Pitbull. And, like Pitbull with Lauren Sanchez. And he's just like, it's like he's never working. He's always off the Amalfi Coast or someplace exotic.
Yeah, like who's running that company?
Because at his level, he can just do it from a phone or a laptop, right? He doesn't need to be in the office other than for board meetings and stuff like that. But you just wonder why, like, people look at these people, look at individuals like this, and they see nothing but evil, and I see nothing but hilarity with all of it. They're not even people anymore. They're just characters. They're real life characters playing themselves.
I mean, I think that Zuck has had a particular public interest because he's the youngest of the tech founders. of like the biggest tech companies. He still's 39 years old, and he has the opportunity to rebrand himself in the public image. Like, it seems like he's trying to appeal to Zoomers right now, actually. Get people to like him again and not be seen as a dork and not be seen as the same guy who was saying Sweet Baby Ray's. He's trying to rebrand.
He should buy Sweet Baby Ray's.
Has he not already? I wouldn't be surprised if he
Mr. Andrup says free market capitalism, aka subsidize the corporations. Yeah, that is funny, dude. So you can, like, if you have like EBT, you can use your EBT card on Amazon.
Right, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is insane.
And you get like a discount on your Amazon Prime membership if you have EBT. That is absolutely corporate. That is corporatism at its finest. But
I'm not saying that these people are, anyone you should idolize.
Nope.
But also to hate them is a little bit pointless.
Well, I think it's the same way about actors who say stupid stuff. I can't bring myself to hate any of them. I don't care enough to hate. Like, I care on like a wide scale about what it means for society and to have a discussion about it. But I feel like getting overly invested in the thoughts and feelings of them makes it harder to have these discussions and not let it go down a specific path every time.
No, just understand that they don't have thoughts or feelings. They only have money. Yeah. I think that's the way to go.
I think Zuckerberg he's definitely putting on a clinic on how to rebrand yourself. He's like, look, you're not even using my apps anymore. You're like, what does he own now? He owns that. He owns WhatsApp. He owns Instagram.
He's doing a lot of work on AI because he's trying to make the metaverse happen. It's not going to happen.
And people are like, we don't really care about the metaverse, but you kind of look like a dude who would say bussin' now, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah, the screen cap came from a video where he was talking about this like open source AI, blah blah blah. Yeah. No one listened. They were just like, wait, why are you kind of rizzing me up right now?
That's what his stylist says. It's like, look, rizz him up, and then you won't have to worry about anything. They're not even going to be listening to you.
You're right, exactly.
All right, let's go to Super Chats, then we'll hang out until 5, guys.
Dave Collins said, I'm tired of Hollywood preaching to me and have been watching foreign movies and TV shows recently. Japan and South Korea make good entertainment if you don't mind subtitles. Unfortunately, I do mind subtitles.
And I just watch the older stuff. That's what I do. I watch older things. I did see, I was watching an old episode, so I pointed out over the weekend, watched an episode of the show Rizzoli and Isles starring Angie Harmon and Sasha Alexander. And it was really funny how morbid this episode was, where it's like, so Angie Harmon is, first of all, she's an open conservative in Hollywood, which is weird, but she's the one whose dog was shot recently.
Yeah.
And then it starred an actor named Michael Jace, who's on The Shield back in the day, who murdered his wife, and he's in jail for life right now. And then the other star of the show, Lee Thompson, committed suicide, like in the 4th season. Like, this is the most depressing thing I've ever watched.
Damn.
Just one episode, like in the middle of season 1, I'm like, wow, like think about how much death and destruction follows any Hollywood production anytime, even the older stuff.
Yeah. I mean, those are the exception, right?
Yeah.
Andrew, you said, I thought this was the conspiracy theory channel.
No, though we do conspiracy theory videos from time to time.
Yeah. 200 Watt Studio said, reply should have been, oh baby, you exhausted me. Your enthusiasm drained me, and it was all I could muster to stay awake to walk you to your car.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Shane H. Wilder said those were different songs. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
High Vulture 75 said, hope this album marks the beginning of Taylor fading into obscurity. Unlikely.
Not likely.
Unlikely. Although I wish that were the case. That's just not going to happen. But I think people are starting to realize how weird it is that Taylor Swift was just another pop artist 5 years ago. Yep. And last year she was, and also early this year, was pushed so hard in the media that she became, like, I think the most famous pop star right now, like, or maybe just musician, like, period, right now. Drewish AF said, if criminal history is racist, tell minorities to stop committing crimes at a disproportionate rate or stop getting caught. Problem solved.
It's always better if you don't get caught.
Yeah. Yeah, if you feel that strongly about committing crimes, be smarter about it. Shane H. Wilder said, if you're worried about the public reactions to your relationships, maybe don't make your relationships and breakups your entire musical career.
Yep.
Honestly, she could have made her music about those relationships regardless without pushing them in the public eye. Yeah. Like, you could have had something in the middle. Brewmaster Monk said selling pop music has less blowback than crack. What? Okay.
Don't do crack, ladies and gentlemen.
Corey Anderson said there is an ass load of bees on my car.
Be very careful.
Yeah, that's not good. Carnell said, please tell me you guys are watching or going to watch and review The Fall Guy. Yes, we are. It's one of the only films I have enthusiasm for. Also, Mary, check out the trailer for A Cat's Life. It looks right up your alley.
Mary is also looking forward to Garfield.
I'd have never heard of A Cat's Life. Wasn't there another one that they called Pet's Life or Dog's Life? Something?
Pet's Life sounds.
So they just did
Secret Life of Pets?
Secret Life of Pets, but they did a sequel called A Cat's Life. I don't know. Shane H. Wilder said the gentleman criminal robs banks, then helps the little old lady with her walker across the street.
Well, I mean, there's other manifestations of that. It's like if you ever saw like American Gangster, where he talks about, they give out turkeys at Thanksgiving to get the community on their side, which has nefarious means, right? Because you're less likely to be turned in, and you have the public on your side, even if you're selling poison to them, because criminals were, in a lot of respects, were seen the same way as rock stars. It's still true to this day in a lot of respects.
What, like Gypsy Rose?
I mean, I don't know if that's a gentleman criminal, but yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, whenever you think your suffering is the worst, look at what Job went through. When you think that you're as low as you can go, look down and you'll see someone looking up at you. He also said, Mary Candace Owens just announced she's coming into the church. I quote tweeted it to you, Mike, and Thursday. That's awesome. I think she was telling people that was like she was in RCIA for a while now, though. But yeah, it's good news. War Maniac said, Brett, what are your thoughts on Tiffany Gomez beer photo? P.S. Canadian dollars are still not polite.
They're pretty polite. My thoughts on it were, anytime something like this happens, it's the same thing with Calendargate, where it becomes about the label of grifter. And I say, what does that even mean? First of all, I think she's like, there was like a post from Ultra Right. That's the name of the company.
It's Ultra Right beer.
Like that she wasn't paid for this, and it was just something she posted. But then they're talking about like grifting off her last 15 minutes of fame. And I'm like, what is she supposed to do?
She's just kind of goofing off.
Is she supposed to, like, okay, so you have a viral moment. People go crazy for you on the internet. Is it like your moral responsibility to not benefit from it or profit from it at all? Should you be like, no, I'm an ethical viral star, and I will not sell you a product at all just because that's the right thing to do?
Yeah, I don't like this idea that trying to make money off of a product is inherently wrong or is inherently grifting.
There's nothing funnier these days than people who label everyone they don't like as a grifter. This
came up when I was on Megyn Kelly because we were critiquing this post that Andrew Tate made that week, and I said, I'm not going to call him a grifter. And then they were like, no, he's a grifter. And I was like, well, you don't really know at the end of the day. Because when you say that someone is a grifter, you're not it's not a synonym for, they're a bad person or they have bad beliefs or whatever. It means they're insincere.
They're saying that that you, a stranger, know more about what's in someone's heart than someone else.
Yeah, and like, isn't it worse to say that somebody genuinely believes things that are evil? Yeah. Isn't that worse?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, right. I feel like it's wrong for me to go around saying grifter, this person's a grifter, that person's a grifter, if like I've been called a grifter and it wasn't true, right? Like, I don't know. I just don't like that.
Like, what does that mean?
Doesn't really mean anything anymore.
Anything. Like, if somebody said like, this show is grifting, like what? Like, I tell people all the time, like, I'm not in the cult. Like, we talk about these topics, but I don't have inherently strong opinions other than I find most of what these celebrities say interesting, and I enjoy going through the dynamics of each of these stories, but I don't come out of it with strong opinions one way or the other. Talking about Alan Ritchson, even if I disagree with the guy, I find it fascinating that you're willing to just tank your own show possibly in the future because you're fearful of what that audience might represent. I don't know where I stand on that other than it's weird. Why is your PR team letting this happen? I find all of these things really interesting, but grifter is just a term that people throw out against people who they believe, or even people who they're like, oh, they said this back then, now they say this now, therefore they're a grifter, or their opinions changed, things change. You can't know. I can't know. Therefore, I'm not going to label you as that.
Maybe they were a grifter back then and they're being sincere now, or they were sincere back then and they're being a grifter now, but ultimately there's no way that you can know that.
Correct.
Corey Anderson said Megan shouting penises, Mary, that was hilarious.
What was that about?
Honestly, I don't even remember her shouting penises, but I'll believe you that it happened. It was probably about locker rooms, women's locker rooms, because there are a lot of those getting loud in women's locker rooms right now. I think we're caught up on Super Chats.
Chat, I want to hang out with you guys until we get to 5. So let's just, now somebody says, I'm grift, what does it say? Brett's grift is that he poses as not a grifter while selling his posture as non-grifter. Therefore, he is a double inversion grifter. Ooh.
40 chess.
What am I selling though? I need to, maybe
Let's Go mugs.
I'm going to make a calendar. That's
You're
what I'm gonna
grifting your Let's Go mugs.
I'm going to make a calendar. That's what I'm going to do.
The Brett beer calendar.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a market for it.
Should we end the poll?
Ugh, fine.
Yep. All right. Well, I am ending the poll, ladies and gentlemen. 54% say no. I will abide.
No.
You can still go and review it yourself, and people will love to watch it. You don't do you should do more solo. We don't always I went and saw the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and I reviewed Reacher episodes by myself. You could review stuff on your own if it's something that you're truly interested in. We have such different tastes that a lot of times they're not going to align. I think what people would like to see from you is there are things you like to watch, is to see you passionately talk about something you actually enjoy.
Why would I enjoy the movie?
No, I'm not saying that one specifically. I'm saying what was something you did really like? You liked the thing about Anna Delvey, right?
Okay.
Review something in that
That's
vein
old,
but I'm saying find something new that you think you'd really like. Review the Brandy Melville documentary.
No.
No.
No,
Just no.
I'm not into that idea. I mean, also it's just I feel like it's easier to talk bad about something than something you like. I'm not really, I understand that you enjoy reviewing things that you like. For me, it's so rare that happens. I can't really count on it.
Yeah. That's a fair point. But the thing is, it's easier to review things that we don't like too. It's so much more when I watch a movie that I like, I write very few things down.
Can't really put your finger on it.
Yeah, I like, especially since we review usually from the theaters. So it's to do a really, really in-depth review of something you like, I feel like you have to watch it more than once. So that you can write down the things that really speak to you in a good way. Most of the time when I'm writing reviews, I have a section. So I have my phone, brightness down to 0. I have to sit in the back right corner so that I'm not, interrupting anybody's viewing experience. And I have a section for pros and a section for cons. But then usually when I go through the pros, it's some obscure thing that has to do with the scene itself that is not going to make sense to anyone unless they've seen the movie, which isn't really a good way to review something. Sure. So it's I write it down, I really, really like the way this shot, blah, 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 and then they're not going to know what I meant.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, I voted yes and don't even know what Challengers is. Well, thanks for voting yes, regardless. I barely even know what Challengers is at this point.
They're saying to wear a mankini and grift for ultra-right beer. Here's an interesting idea. Is it say if you're, remember when who is it? Somebody was sober, but they were selling liquor. Is that a grift? If you sell a beer product, but you don't consume it, for instance?
What, Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah, but that was more that Ben Affleck is trying to be sober and she doesn't.
There was some other celebrity that has a tequila brand that who doesn't,
but they don't drink,
right?
Right. So is that a grift?
Probably.
Is that a grift?
But who cares?
No, you're selling a product. If
ultimately,
that's true, then,
I don't get why that.
The CEO of McDonald's,
No,
of people at
grifting.
Facebook always say, like, I would never let my kids use these products.
Look, grifting is like if you have a fundamental principled objection to the thing that you're selling people.
Then I would say that's
what
more
I mean.
common for like the CEO of McDonald's saying, like, I would never let my kids eat this product.
Sure.
I don't even know if that's grifting. That's just, you're selling it's capitalism.
But I mean, it still is hypocritical.
He's saying, I wouldn't use it, but you, as a free member of Western society, you're allowed to consume this product that I'm selling.
But if they say, I wouldn't use it because I think it's fundamentally harmful to people, but I'm going to sell it to you because I don't care about you.
Yeah.
That's a grift.
So
For
maybe,
sure.
yeah, or I was thinking like, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I host a podcast. Am I grifting?
What if someone like started an NGO or some kind of, nonprofit organization, they got a bunch of donor money, but they never believed in the first place in what it was about? That's a grift.
A lot of people are just going to be, there's going to be that person like, look, I'm just trying to sell you a product. I don't think less of it. I don't think more of it. All I want to do is be the person who sells you something. If a hot dog vendor doesn't eat hot dogs, I don't care if the hot dog.
Okay, that has no moral.
Yeah.
That has no moral aspect to it, though. I'm talking about like a cause.
Yeah. Oh, or I guess or even like the NGOs or the people who who work for these nonprofits and stuff like that, or the people who are selling activist causes if they don't believe in it.
Something like that, yeah. High Voltage 75 said, Brett, is there any food in Minnesota, or that any food Minnesota is known for, or popular chains unique to that region?
Juicy Lucy, if I remember correctly.
What is that?
It's like burger, but the cheese is inside the burger. It's actually cooked into the burger. Created in Minnesota.
That sounds dangerous.
A restaurant called the Blue Door. There's probably a lot of them. I haven't lived there in so long, in like 3 years now. So now I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
I want to look up like Minnesota
chains.
Foods.
Yeah.
But I want to know if it has like its own food that it's known for.
Yeah.
This says, okay, this is just a bunch of like, wasn't it like Swedish people who lived in Minnesota for a long time?
Vikings.
It was stuff like that. Yeah, but I do see the burger that has cheese in it. It looks good. Shane H. Wilder said, if it makes you feel any better, I voted yes, mainly because I like seeing Brett cringe.
You guys are all sociopaths. You know that, right?
Well, only half of them are sociopaths. Yes. Isn't that comforting?
The says Brett, that would just make me wonder about if the hot dog is poisonous.
It was an Anne's Frank hot dog, a kosher hot dog.
That's what it was. I just want to okay, so it says Lil Tay attacking J.K. Rowling on Twitter, going viral, and then promoting her latest music video, which is already months old, and the replies is what I consider a grift.
When was Lil Tay attacking J.K. Rowling?
Is that going right now? What I find funny about that is like Lil Tay is one of those people who is now like talks about the evils of bullying and racism and sexism and homophobia, but is like always getting into beef online.
That was lame.
Which I laugh about.
I'm trying to find Lil Tay's tweet about J.K. Rowling.
What did she say?
She just called her a transphobic bitch.
I love that the new version of mean girl behavior is calling people phobic because it gives you a shield as a mean girl to be mean to people.
Yeah, not a good look for Lil Tay there.
Yeah, all right. I say we hang out here until we get the second crisis party. That's my grift.
Okay.
We're gonna hang out
Let's
here until we
grift.
get the second crisis
Let's
party.
grift it up. I'm fine with that.
We could be here for 10 hours.
Do any of you guys think that you might be like a sociopath, or that you have sociopathic tendencies? Be honest.
That you?
No.
That you?
No.
No.
But I did cut up worms as a child.
Okay.
I thought that was supposed to be
Did you use the
like
magnifying glass and burn
No,
them?
my brother did that. But I like, well, actually I didn't like cut up the worms. I tore them apart. I would like spray water onto the dirt, and then I would wait for them to come up, and I would grab them, and I would take them like this, like one end to the other, and I would just go like this, and I would just squeeze their guts out.
And all while listening to Marilyn Manson and
At 9 years old, no, I don't think so. I don't think I was listening to Marilyn Manson. I was listening to like High School Musical.
Corey Anderson says, "Can we get a Mary Morgan Dictator for Life shirt?"
That might be a nice merch idea.
Write that down.
Write that down. Write that down.
Write that down.
Well, we've been meaning to revisit more merch ideas. It's just been so crazy
It
lately.
would be interesting to see what kind of merch you guys would like to see. Because like that's one of those things where some channels are just so good with merch, and I feel like I'm so disconnected that like even if something like great or viral like looks like it would be great, I just never think of it in the moment. It would have to be revisited to me by somebody else, and then I'd be like, oh, that is a good idea.
It's just like when you're about to fall asleep. This probably only happens to me, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna tweet that tomorrow. You come up with like the best tweet ever, and then you wake up and it's gone.
I just suggest great tweets for Mary and have Mary tweet great tweets.
Yeah, you always ghostwrite the best ones. No Diggity said Juicy Lucy 5'8 Club or Matt's Bar.
Yeah, I lived by the 5'8 Club on Robert Street, and there's a couple of 5'8 clubs around the area. It's good. It's good. Matt's Bar I have not been to. I like the Blue Door. The Blue Door has not the Juicy Lucy, they call it the Juicy Bluesy. It's very
Why?
good.
It's blue cheese?
I assume, or it's just because the name of the store is the Blue Door. But I like when we were at the airport, Minneapolis, like MSP is huge, and there's like there's a Blue Door in the airport, and I was like, we have the time, but it's already like, do I really want to spend airport money on?
There's that. You know what is a grift? Airport restaurants.
The cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are all grifts.
Like or the worst was going to Chick-fil-A and realizing you can't get the mac and cheese at Chick-fil-A at the mall.
Like,
or
what's
at
even the
airport.
point?
Like,
what is
I don't
even
go
the
there for
point?
the chicken. I go there for the mac and cheese and the fries.
Another one from High Voltage 75 said Maryland's known for its seafood, right, Mary? I mean, we're in Maryland right now.
Okay, here's something that happened. So one of the greatest things that I've ever found was there are, goldfish, like the Crackers goldfish. Mm-hmm. They make Old Bay goldfish. Like,
yeah.
So I only found those here once.
Gross.
I only found those here once. They were delicious. Never saw them again. Found them at home in Minnesota. Old Bay isn't popular in Minnesota. It's popular in frickin' Maryland.
But you can just make it yourself. Just get the normal goldfish and put Old Bay on it.
I know, but I'm a consumer. I want to buy.
You want the brand name.
I want to look at the logo on the side of the goldfish container to get it. So I had to get it in Minnesota and then bring it home.
Well, I want to try it then in that case. Rhaegar Targaryen said, I enjoyed your appearance on Adam Carolla's show. I kept wondering if you would... Wait, what? If your takes would get edgy enough to make Adam uncomfortable, but then I remembered he was an un-PC comedian.
It was funny when Mary did Adam Carolla. I was like, you won't know this, but Adam Carolla was huge in my day because of Loveline and the Man Show.
He talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
He said that Dr. Drew always thought men should act more like women because they're too aggressive.
It was the 90s, okay? The men hadn't been feminized quite yet.
If only he had known the problems he was about to contribute to.
It was underway, but not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I would like to know, like, what do you guys enjoy more? Do you guys enjoy, like, rigid adherence to topics like we do most of the time? Or do you enjoy when we just hang out and babble with you guys?
Like, episode 600 is coming up.
And there will be a lot of babbling.
Should that just be... nothing in particular? Just hanging out?
Well, we'll do a traditional show at the beginning because I want to be able to get clips from it to put out. But after that, do you want more topics or do you want just us to babble with you guys?
Well, the way that it went last time was pretty much formless after the first couple hours.
So,
episode 500 just feels like a bigger deal than episode 600.
And I'm not going to lie, like, I admit that selfishly, it's easier to just hit record and then babble. But,
Yeah, but I like to have takes. I like to voice my takes. Sovereign Citizen said speeding is not a crime unless someone is injured.
Interesting.
Pretty sure that's not true since I've had to pay so much money for speeding before. I'm pretty sure it's a crime.
The over the weekend, I definitely experienced. I forgot how bad Minnesotans are at merging. They really are.
What's their issue?
It sounds like they just don't know how to get up to speed and actually get.
They get too scared because they're so polite.
Yeah,
they're so Midwestern, so polite.
It's like and also like we were talking about how like when you go to the Mall of America, there's just a tunnel vision it's probably from walking so long in a circle, but people just aren't paying attention to where they're going and they're super disrespectful. And I was like, maybe it's just trained into me because I grew up in Minnesota and went to the mall a lot, when I was a teenager and young adult. I hadn't been there in 15 years and still just instinctively knew how to weave around the people who are idiots and aren't paying attention to where they're going. Not everybody can do that if you're not used to people not knowing how to walk properly.
You walk extremely purposefully, though.
Yes.
Even though you don't have a destination. It definitely looks like you're going somewhere.
It's like, I have found that people will bother you less if you look like you're on your way to something.
You're busy, don't stop me and don't try to talk to me. He's busy.
I got places to be.
Yeah.
Even if it's just from floor 3 to floor 2, I got places to be.
Thank you. Shane H. Wilder said, as long as it's fun, which it will be.
Episode 600 is going to be fun.
I definitely hope it will be.
Episode 600 is going to be fun. And I am also very glad that you guys seem to enjoy the previous episode without us on it, because it was, I had some, it's the thing where like somebody hands you something and they're like trying to take it from you and you're like, won't let go.
You're like, yeah, Kellen, take the show. And then you're like,
and he did good. It was great. So. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I believe was that all of them?
I think so.
That was all of them. All right, guys, before we go, please hit the like button on this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already, and share these videos with your friends and help us get our reach out to more and more people. Please and thank you. And Mary, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yes, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And as people were mentioning earlier, I did have my appearance on Megyn Kelly's show on Friday. So if you haven't seen that yet, you should definitely seek it out. I do believe I tweeted the link to that, so you can look for it there.
All right, guys, if you would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week.
This shit will be back.
This shit will be back tomorrow, okay? Deal with it. Guys, this show will be back 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because we were banned, at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you then.
Bye.